Section 38 of the Fables of Pilpay. This is a LibriVox recording. All LibriVox recordings are in the public domain. For more information or to volunteer, please visit LibriVox.org. The Fables of Pilpay by Anonymous, translated by Abdullah Ibn al-Muqaffa and Joseph Harris. Fable 5. The Blind Man Who Traveled with One of His Friends. There were once, continued he, two men that traveled together, one of whom was blind. These two companions being, in the course of their journey, one time, surprised by night upon the road, entered into a meadow, there to rest themselves till morning. And as soon as day appeared, they rose, got on horseback, and continued their journey. Now, the blind man, instead of his whip, as ill fate would have it, had picked up a serpent that was stiff with cold, but having it in his hand, as it grew a little warm, he felt it somewhat softer than his whip, which pleased him very much. He thought he had gained by the change, and therefore never minded the loss. In this manner he travelled some time, but when the sun began to appear and illuminate the world, his companion perceived the serpent, and with loud cries, "Friend," said he, "you have taken up a serpent instead of your whip. Throw it out of your hand before you feel the mortal caresses of the venomous animal." But the blind man, no less blind in his intellects than in his body, believing that his friend had only jested with him to get away his whip. "What?" said he, "do you envy my good luck? I lost my whip that was worth nothing, and here my kind fortune has sent me a new one. Pray do not take me for such a simpleton, but that I can distinguish a serpent from a whip." With that his friend replied, "Companion, I am obliged by the laws of friendship and humanity to inform you of your danger, and therefore let me again assure you of your error, and conjure you, if you love your life, throw away the serpent." To which the blind man, more exasperated than persuaded, "Why do you take all this pains to cheat me, and press me thus to throw away a thing which you intend, as soon as I have done so, to pick up yourself?" His companion, grieved at his obstinacy, entreated him to be persuaded of the truth, swore he had no such design, and protested to him that what he held in his hand was a real and poisonous serpent. But neither oaths nor protestations would prevail. The blind man would not alter his resolution. The sun by this time began to grow high, and his beams having warmed the serpent by degrees, he began to crawl up the blind man's arm, which he immediately after bit in such a venomous manner, that he gave him his death wound. "This example teaches us, brother," continued the pious hermit, "that we ought to distrust our senses, and that it is a difficult task to master them, when we are in possession of the thing that flatters our fancy." This apposite fable and judicious admonition awakened the court hermit from his pleasing dream. He opened his eyes, and surveyed the hazards that he ran at court, and bewailing the time which he had vainly spent in the service of the world, he passed the night in sighs and tears. His friend constantly attended him, and rejoiced at making him a convert. But alas! Day being come, the new honours that were done him destroyed all his repentance. At this melancholy sight, the pious stranger, with tears in his eyes, and many prayers for his lost brother, and he accounted him, took his leave of the court, and retired to his cell. On the other hand, the courtier began to thrust himself into all manner of business, and soon became unjust, like the people of the world. One day, in the hurry of his affairs, he rashly and inconsiderately condemned to death a person, who, according to the laws and customs of the country, ought not to have suffered capital punishment. After the execution of the sentence, his conscience teased him with reproaches that troubled his repose for some time, and, at length, the heirs of the person whom he had unjustly condemned, with great difficulty, obtained leave of the king to inform against the hermit, whom they accused of injustice and oppression. And the council, after mature debate upon the informations, ordered that the hermit should suffer the same punishment which he had inflicted upon the person deceased. The hermit made use of all his credit and his riches to save his life, but all availed not, and the decree of the council was executed. I must confess, said Dimna, that according to this example, I ought long since to have been punished for having quitted my solitude to serve the king, notwithstanding that I can safely appeal to heaven that I am guilty of no crime against any person yet. Dimna here gave over speaking, and his eloquence was admired by all the court. Different opinions were formed of him by the different persons present, and as for the lion, he held down his head, turmoiled with so many various thoughts that he knew not what to resolve, nor what answer to give. While the lion, however, was in this dilemma, and all the courtiers kept silence, a certain creature, called Siagosh, who was one of the most faithful servants the king had, stepped forward and spoke to this effect. O thou most wicked wretch! All the reproaches which thou throwest upon those that serve kings turn only to thy own shame, for besides that it does no way belong to thee to enter in these affairs. Know that an hour of service done to the king is worth 100 years of prayers. Many persons of merit have we seen that have quitted their little cells to go to court, where, serving princes, they have eased the people and secured them from tyrannical oppressions. The fable which I am going to tell you may serve for a proof of what I say. End of section 38.